Hello, I'm Dr. Mark Glat, a psychologist. Today we're exploring a hidden reality of modern relationships. Why many good men, despite being loyal, ready, and emotionally available, still end up single for years. It's not always about fear of commitment or lack of effort. Often it's about deeper patterns in expectations, communication, and the way modern dating has changed human connection. If you understand this, you may start to see relationships in a completely different light. Good men are staying single for years, but the real reason isn't what you think. What if the truth lies in everyday patterns no one talks about? In today's world, many men who are genuinely loyal, hardworking, and emotionally ready still find themselves alone for long periods of time. This is not always because they fear commitment or lack interest in relationships. In fact, many of them deeply desire connection, stability, and meaningful companionship. However, the reality is often shaped by subtle patterns that go unnoticed. Modern dating has shifted expectations on both sides. Social media, unrealistic standards, and constant comparison have made people more selective and sometimes less patient. Small behaviors like ignoring genuine effort, chasing perfection, or prioritizing short-term excitement over long-term compatibility slowly create distance between people who could otherwise build something real. For many men, this creates confusion. They improve themselves, work on their goals, and try to show sincerity, yet they feel overlooked. Over time, this leads to frustration and eventually silence, where they stop trying as much, not because they do not care, but because repeated experiences reshape their expectations. It is important to understand that this is not about blaming one side entirely. Relationships are always a two-way dynamic. Both men and women contribute to the outcomes they experience. The key lies in awareness, recognizing patterns, communication gaps, and emotional needs that often remain unspoken. When people start to reflect instead of react, the chances of meaningful connections increase. If you found this perspective relatable or thought-provoking, take a moment to reflect on your own experiences. Are there patterns you might be overlooking? Growth begins with honesty and understanding, not assumptions or blame. If you want to explore more insights like this about relationships, human behavior, and emotional intelligence, make sure to like, share, and follow for more content. Your support helps bring deeper conversations to light and allows more people to understand what truly matters in building lasting connections. Because at the end of the day, the goal is not to prove who is right or wrong, but to understand why disconnection happens so often. When we shift our mindset from judgment to curiosity, we begin to see the full picture and create space for healthier interactions. Many times, the smallest changes in awareness can make the biggest difference. Listening better, valuing consistency, and appreciating genuine effort can slowly rebuild trust between people who are truly looking for something meaningful. So instead of focusing only on why men stay single for years, the deeper question is how both sides can grow together and create an environment where real connections are recognized, valued, and sustained over time. That is where real change begins, and where lasting relationships are built. Keep learning, keep observing, and keep improving, because awareness is the first step toward meaningful change and stronger, more fulfilling relationships for everyone involved. In the journey ahead, together, always moving forward with clarity, respect, patience, and genuine emotional understanding. He's loyal, ready, and serious about love, yet still alone. What if the answer isn't his fear of commitment, but something deeper in modern dating? In today's fast-moving world, many men who genuinely want meaningful relationships often find themselves single for years. These are not men who avoid responsibility or run away from commitment. Instead, they are emotionally available, financially focused, and mentally prepared to build something real. Yet despite all these qualities, they struggle to find a lasting connection, which raises an important question about what is truly going wrong. One major factor lies in the changing dynamics of modern dating. With endless options available through social media and dating apps, people have developed a habit of always looking for something better. This mindset creates a cycle where genuine effort is often overlooked, and temporary excitement is valued more than long-term stability. As a result, men who are consistent and sincere may not always appear as attractive as those who offer thrill and unpredictability. Another important aspect is communication. Many men are not taught how to express their emotions openly, while many women expect emotional depth without clearly communicating their own needs. This mismatch leads to misunderstandings where both sides feel unheard or unappreciated. Over time, repeated experiences like these can make even the most genuine man feel discouraged and less willing to invest emotionally. There is also the pressure of unrealistic standards. People are constantly exposed to idealized versions of relationships online, which can distort expectations. Instead of appreciating real effort and imperfect but meaningful connections, individuals may start comparing their partners to unrealistic benchmarks. This makes it harder for genuine relationships to grow naturally, as they are often judged too quickly. It is important to understand that this situation is not about placing blame entirely on one side. Relationships are complex, and both men and women contribute to the outcomes they experience. However, recognizing these patterns can help create awareness. When people begin to value consistency, honesty, and emotional maturity over surface-level attraction, the chances of forming lasting connections increase significantly. For men, staying true to their values while also improving communication and emotional intelligence can make a difference. For women, recognizing genuine effort and giving space for real connections to develop can lead to more meaningful relationships. Growth on both sides is essential. If you found this perspective insightful, take a moment to reflect on your own experiences and patterns. Share your thoughts and follow for more content that explores relationships, psychology, and personal growth in a deeper and more meaningful way. Behind every single man is a story no one hears. And once you understand it, your view on relationships might completely change. In today's world, it's easy to judge a man who has been single for years. People assume he is too picky, emotionally unavailable, or simply not serious about commitment. But what often goes unnoticed is the quiet story behind his silence, the experiences, disappointments, and lessons that shaped his current reality. Many men begin their journey with genuine intentions. They believe in loyalty, effort, and the idea of building something meaningful with the right person. They invest time, energy, and emotions, hoping to create a connection that lasts. However, not every experience turns out the way they expect. Sometimes their sincerity is misunderstood. Other times, their efforts go unnoticed or unappreciated. Over time, these repeated experiences leave a mark. What makes it more complicated is that men are rarely encouraged to express their emotional struggles openly. Society often teaches them to stay strong, to hide vulnerability, and to move on without speaking about what they feel. As a result, their stories remain untold. From the outside, it may look like they are simply choosing to stay single, But inside, there may be a mix of hesitation, caution, and emotional fatigue. Another layer to this story is the pressure of modern dating. With constantly changing expectations and endless options, forming a deep and stable connection has become more challenging. Many men find themselves trying to meet unspoken standards while also staying true to who they are. This balancing act can be exhausting, especially when genuine effort does not lead to meaningful results. Over time, some men begin to step back, not because they have given up on love, but because they are trying to protect their peace. They become more selective, more observant, and sometimes more distant. This is not always a sign of disinterest. Rather, it reflects a deeper understanding of what they want and what they are no longer willing to accept. It is important to realize that this is not about placing blame on anyone. Relationships are complex, and both sides bring their own expectations, fears, and past experiences. However, when we take the time to understand the unseen stories behind people's choices, we develop a more balanced and empathetic perspective. When you truly understand the journey of a man who has been single for years, your view on relationships begins to shift. You start to see that behind the silence is not emptiness, but experience. Behind the distance is not indifference, but reflection. In the end, every single person carries a story, and sometimes the ones who say the least have felt the most. Men aren't avoiding commitment like before, so why are they still single for so long? Maybe the reason isn't obvious, but it's happening every single day. In today's world, the idea that men fear commitment is slowly becoming outdated. Many men are now more self-aware, emotionally mature, and open to the idea of building a stable, long-term relationship. They focus on their careers, improve themselves, and prepare for a future where they can offer security and consistency. Yet despite all this growth, a large number of men remain single for years, and the reasons behind this are not always visible on the surface. One of the biggest shifts in modern relationships is the change in expectations. With social media and dating platforms, people are constantly exposed to new options. This creates a mindset where individuals are always searching for someone better, even when they meet someone genuinely good. As a result, consistency and loyalty are sometimes undervalued, while excitement and novelty take priority. Men who offer stability may not always stand out in such an environment. Another factor is the subtle, everyday behaviors that slowly create distance. Delayed replies, mixed signals, lack of clarity, and emotional unavailability can all weaken potential connections. These actions may seem small, but over time they shape how relationships develop, or fail to develop. Many men experience situations where they invest effort but receive uncertainty in return, leading to confusion and eventually withdrawal. Communication also plays a crucial role. While men are improving in expressing themselves, there is still a gap in how emotions are shared and understood. Misinterpretations can occur easily, where intentions do not match perceptions. A man may believe he is showing care through actions, while the other person may be expecting verbal reassurance. This disconnect can prevent relationships from progressing, even when both individuals have good intentions. Over time, repeated experiences like these can lead to emotional fatigue. A man who once approached relationships with excitement may begin to hold back, not because he no longer values love, but because he has learned to be cautious. He becomes more selective, more observant, and less willing to invest quickly without clarity. It is important to understand that this is not about blaming one side. Relationships are influenced by both individuals involved. However, Recognizing these everyday patterns can help create awareness. When people become more intentional, communicate clearly, and appreciate genuine effort, the chances of building meaningful connections increase. In the end, men are not staying single simply because they fear commitment. Often, it is the unnoticed patterns, repeated daily, that shape their experiences. When those patterns change, the outcomes can change too. What if men staying single isn't entirely their fault, and the real reason is something society quietly ignores? In today's modern dating world, many men find themselves single for long periods of time, despite being loyal, responsible, and emotionally ready for commitment. On the surface, it may look like a personal choice or lack of effort, but the reality is often more complex and shaped by subtle social patterns that are rarely discussed. One major factor is the change in dating expectations. With social media and online platforms, people are constantly exposed to endless options. This creates a mindset where many individuals keep searching for something better instead of valuing what is already genuine and stable. In such an environment, consistent and sincere men may sometimes be overlooked because they don't always bring instant excitement. Another hidden issue is emotional communication. Many men struggle to express their feelings openly due to how they were raised. At the same time, misunderstandings in communication can lead to confusion, where effort is not always recognized or appreciated in the way it is intended. Over time, this can discourage even the most genuine individuals from trying as hard as they once did. It is also important to recognize that relationships today are influenced by fast judgment and unrealistic expectations. Small mistakes or normal human imperfections are often seen as deal breakers, which makes it harder for real connections to grow naturally. However, this is not about blaming one side. Relationships are always a two-way process, shaped by both people involved. Awareness, patience, and clear communication are key factors that can improve connection and understanding between individuals. If this perspective made you think differently about modern relationships, don't forget to like, share, and follow for more deep insights on love, psychology, and human behavior. This content is for educational and discussion purposes only. It is not intended to blame, judge, or target any gender or group. Individual experiences may vary.